Hi, I'm Chantelle, and I'm going to be showing you how to do this full face of makeup using the Just Peachy eyeshadow palette by Too Faced. This is my absolute favorite eyeshadow palette because it has such amazing red tones to it, and I love how the red tones look on my skin. So I hope you enjoy this. Okay, so before we start with our Peachy palette, I need to put some primer, make sure everything is settled down. So I'm going to start with this Coverage Girl primer, skin primer. So now we're going to start with our foundation. I'm using the Il Makiage foundation. Usually I like to apply it on my hand right here, and I use this fat brush and I just tap it and put it all over my face. Make sure you always put it on your neck, especially if it's not exactly the same as your skin color, because this is a bit more tan for me right now, just so that everything looks balanced. So with our beauty blender, we have to blend this in because this is not blended at all. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm gonna go on and I'm going to put on my concealer for my dark areas. So I'm using the Too Faced concealer, and where I'm just going to put it right under my eyes. And also I'm going to use this as a primer for my eyelids too. I highly recommend that you don't just brush it through, do some dabs, because it's going to be a little bit too much. Now we're gonna blend this in. I'm using this type of beauty blender. It's just small on the top here, and we're gonna try to blend in. It's more important that you use a small one on the top so that you can get it around the corners. Okay, so now that that's fully blended, I'm gonna go with my Too Faced setting powder. So this is really important because it kind of prevents it from looking very cakey and unnatural. So this kind of flattens it out, makes it look more matte and not oily. So with the same beauty blender that I blended my concealer, I'm gonna use the back of this because it's a bit bigger. So we're gonna just dab in like that, pat out, and just pat it on. We're gonna leave this on, and in the meantime, we're gonna do our eyeshadow. So let's start. The whole idea of doing eyeshadow, especially with this palette, is blending. That's the key. So I'm going to be using this brush. It's from Sephora. It's called Blending Crease. And you want to start with a good base color. So the base color is usually a color that's very similar to your skin tone. Maybe a little tad darker. So I'm going to go with the Peach Tea. I'm going to go in with this one. So we're gonna start from the ends inside. So make sure you do nice circular motion into the inside. So you want it more heavier on the outside than on the inside. Always start from the outside. Also, when you're holding your brush, don't hold it too close. You want to hold it further so you have a bigger range of motion. So now that we're done with the base, we're going to be using a different brush now. So every time we use a different brush, we're going a bit darker. I'm going to go now with the Peach Cobbler, which is this one. Always start from the outside and in. So because this is a bit darker, we're not going to go all the way to the crease. We're just going to go just about halfway, or maybe just a tiny bit over halfway. With our blending brush, we're going to go back and blend this all in. Now, let's go in a bit darker. So I'm usually sticking with more peachy undertones. I want it to look a little natural, but also very nice. So now with what I'm doing, I'm gonna go with the Just Ripe. So I'm using a different brush. It's a bit smaller than the one I just used. Because this is darker than the previous one, we're not even gonna get halfway. We're just gonna go about a third way of our eye. So here's halfway. We're just gonna go just about angled on the third way. Remember, circular motions, that's the key. Okay, so with our blending brush, we're gonna go back and blend this in. So because this is dark, we're only gonna blend it in halfway, not all the way to the crease, because the crease we want to keep very light. These are my main colors that I'm going to be sticking with this palette. Now I'm going to go with the darker colors, more to accentuate the shape of my eye. So instead of using eyeliner, I'm going to be using the eyeshadow. For this, I recommend using a really thin brush like this. It's kind of flat like this. And we're gonna start, remember, always start light and you always get darker. So I'm gonna start with this light brown. It's called the Peach Tart. Just a few taps. And what we're gonna do, we're just going to outline right just about halfway. We're just going to outline our eye like you would with eyeliner. Oh, and I highly recommend you pull so you can line it much better. We're going to do the same thing on our bottom lids, but before we do that, we have to clean away our baking powder because it's been sitting on for a while. So I'm just going to be blending this away with this brush. Okay, so now let's go do it under. I find that when you put a little bit of eyeshadow under, the eye really opens up your eye and it makes it look much bigger. So again, with the same color, the Peach Tart, we're gonna go right under, always starting from the end. If you want your under eyes to have a little bit of a red undertone, then I highly recommend you use the Just Pie, this color. With another brush, so this is a bit thicker width-wise and also length-wise, we're just gonna blend that in. It's so important to blend because it always makes it look more natural. If you want it to be a little bit more dramatic, I'm trying to make mine look a little bit more natural. You could definitely go in with the chocolate dip and do what I just did with outlining the eye, but that's totally up to you. I'm not going to be doing that though. I'm going to go off and do my eyebrows. Usually when I fill in my eyebrows, I'm just filling in any empty spots and I just brush it up, always brush it up. Because my natural eyebrows are already dark and thick in the color, I don't usually fill in here, I just fill in the ends. Now that I finished my eyes, so that was my eyes using the Peachy palette, I'm just gonna go off and do my face, the rest of my face. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of bronzer just to accentuate my cheekbones. Alright, this is my favorite part. I love a little bit of shimmer because this is a matte look. So far we've only been doing matte. So I'm gonna add VDL. This is actually an eye primer, but I like to use it as shimmer, as a highlighter. So usually where I put my highlighters in the corner of my eyes, on the tip of my brow bone, just to sort of accentuate my arch, and on my cheeks. So let's do it. You could blend this in with a brush or with your fingers, but I prefer a brush because sometimes your fingers are kind of oily. Okay, so we're almost done. I'm going to be putting on my mascara, and then we'll be doing lips, and then that's it. Alright, so I'm going to be doing my lips, and usually for my lips, I like to outline them to kind of make it look a bit bigger. Also, when you're outlining your lips, make sure you use a color that's very similar to the color of your lips. Now, the final step, I'm going to be using the Revlon matte lip color. So this is the finished look. I'm just going to put some setting spray so it will stay on for as long as I want. So I'll be using the NYX setting spray, and hopefully it will look good. Alright, so this is the final look. Thanks for watching. Bye!